Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm going to show you a little bit about the Show Me State.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm going to tell you how a woman survived the Titanic to face an even bigger battle.
Hey there, I'm Matt, and I'm going to tell you about Albert Einstein's brain.
What do all of these things have to do with the word independence? Find out in this week's episode of History Bluffs.
Woo!
Hello and welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. I want to welcome to the show, it's your host, it's Adri.
Hey, thanks, Adam.
Hello, Adri.
Hello, Chris, Katie, and Matt. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Everybody's good.
Adri,
Everybody
more
at
like
home?
A+, Dri.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
wow.
thank you. I
He's
wish
grading
my
it.
teachers would have said the same, but they did not.
Matt, you
Nice.
can't suck up to the host. That's not how this show works.
I'm
It's not
pretty
gonna get
sure
you
I
any
just started.
points.
Not
Sorry.
a single one.
Well, welcome to the show, guys. History Bluffs. Thank you very much for joining us. For all the first timers, welcome. Before we get started, I just want to, warm up the historians a little bit. Ask them a very important question that I've had on my mind all day. Independence. There's tons of movies that are about independence. Do you guys have a favorite? Let's start with Chris.
A favorite movie about independence.
Independence Day, anything to do with it.
I'm going to go with E.T.
Okay. Does
Didn't expect that.
that take place over
Oh,
Independence
wasn't-
Day? I don't remember.
It does not, but he gained his independence
He
as
did. He
a
did.
being.
He
Wow.
did. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get
Good
it.
answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
Katie, what do you think?
All
What's
right.
your
I can't think of a single movie that takes place over Independence Day. I feel like one's on the tip of my tongue. Ugh.
Ooh.
I'd have to go with Men in Black.
Okay.
Will Smith
Yeah.
movie about aliens.
We'll go with
Perfect,
that.
perfect.
Okay, yeah.
Matt, how about you?
I'm going to have to go with any YouTube video showing me the winner of the hot dog eating contest on Coney Island, which is held on Independence Day.
Yes.
That's
I
good.
Oh,
cannot
fake
watch
crowd like that one.
without grabbing my Gaviscon. I can't. I need it just to watch the video.
That's their secret to success. Gaviscon.
Well, that's great, guys. I'm so excited to be hosting tonight and learning your stories. For those of you who are first-time watchers, here's what's in store for you. We have 3 armchair experts, which you just met, and they're going to be telling you a story. Now, 2 are going to be telling completely truthful, authentic stories, and 1 historian is going to be telling us a story that might take place in a real place, might include real people that you might know from history, but the overall premise is a bluff, basically. That's right. Now, our
Indeed.
historians-
A bluff.
a bluff, I tell you. Now, our historians are all inspired by the topic that they've been given, which this week is independence. The true stories are factual, the bluff story is fictional, and no audience help is allowed. Now,
They
I
hate
know,
that.
guys. I know it's tough, but there has to be rules. There's a couple other things that you should know before we get started. Our historians are going to tell their stories in increments of 75 seconds, 60, and 45 seconds, and they have to stay in those parameters, or penalties will be applied.
Oh, they will.
That's right. Ruler after class here.
I hate
Now,
virtual rulers.
to keep track of how the show goes and which round we're in, we're going to use what we used all of our budget on, which is the Round Tracker 9000.
Here
Adam, if
it
you
comes. There's the round
There it
tracker. Oh,
is.
there it is.
There
Little
it
glitchy
is.
there. I had to
Even
hit
better
it on
than
the
I imagined.
side.
There it is.
We've come a long way, Matt.
We
We've
have.
come a long way.
It's beautiful. I love it. And it goes with the whole Barbie thing that's going on right now, which
That
was
does.
completely, coincidental, not in, not on purpose or anything like that.
No,
But that's
not
going
at
to help
all.
us get through and stay on track to see where we're at within the story.
That's right. You know, it was on purpose, Adri. What was very purposeful with Barbie was the doll themed show we did some weeks back. You can catch it on our YouTube live archive.
Yes, you can. We have every show there, so please check them out, follow us, share with your friends. We are eager to spread history with everyone. Now, before we get started, one last thing. We encourage our audience members at home to comment throughout. Let us know who you think is bluffing or who you think is telling the truth. But there's one rule for you guys. No Googling, no Wikipedia, no researching, no Ask Jeeves. It's just your brain, and that's it.
That's right. That's
right.
But,
Okay.
Yeah. I'll buzz them.
Wrong. I was like,
no. That's just me showing the sharpened blade of my tech powers here in the announcer booth.
You got all the power. I got scared there for a second.
Yeah. Oh, I never introduced myself during this show. I'm Adam.
That's
Hello, Adam.
Hello,
Hi.
Adam.
Disembodied Adam. Hi, Adam.
Disembodied Adam. That's it. Continue. Show's yours, Adri.
Can I ask Adam a question?
Oh,
of course you can.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Adam, you mentioned the YouTube Live archive. Isn't that known as a cemetery?
Wait, I don't get it. What?
The Live archive.
Oh,
Chris,
wow.
Chris, don't ask Adam anything. He makes stuff up. In fact, you could say that Adam makes up everything.
Oh, there it is. No, that's good. I like that.
Oh, come on.
Hey, Adams make up everything. We better turn the show back over to Adri. I shouldn't have interjected. It's all you.
Oh, it's all good. On my end, I'm ready for round one. Historians, are you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Adam, take it away.
Oh, man, let's start it. Going into round number 1.
Excellent.
Fresh round.
All right. First round, Chris, you're up at the top. Let's get started with you. You have 75 seconds on the clock. When you hear the gong, go for it.
All right, let's do it. Here we come.
All right. So I'm going to talk about Independence, Missouri. It's the Queen City of the Trail. It's known because it's the points of departure for the California Trail, the Oregon Trail, and the Santa Fe Trail. It is the 5th largest city in Missouri, and it is the county seat of Jackson County. And that's significant because Kansas City is in Jackson County. Independence is a satellite city of Kansas City, Missouri, and it's the largest suburb of the Kansas City metropolitan area because obviously there's 2 Kansas cities. So Independence also is known for a couple of significant visitors. In 1803, first of all, 1803 became part of the United States as part of the Louisiana Purchase, and then Lewis and Clark recorded in their journals that they stopped there in 1804. It also was a stop for the ill-fated Donner Party, the 19th century wagon train immigrants that were going out west. And of course, we all know what happened in Utah. You can see one of my history Bluffs on the Road videos about that. But then it was also the site of 2 very big battles during Civil War, and I'll talk about those in the next round.
Very nice, Chris. Learning about a city that I had no idea existed. Katie, what are your thoughts on Chris's first round?
I mean, I like that he assumes we know what happened with the Donner Party. Like, you don't know my level of knowledge about the Donner Party. Okay, when's the last time I was invited to a dinner party? But then he goes and he plugs some of his other episodes.
Yeah.
Classic evasive technique when he didn't have things to say.
Absolutely. That's definitely a pro historian tactic. Matt, what do you think?
With Chris bigger in my screen, I couldn't stop looking at his glasses, which look good on him. I don't think I could pull them off, literally and figuratively. I know what happened to the Donner Party, so that was interesting. And I have been to Independence, Missouri, because I grew up in Iowa, which also has an Independence. You might be not interested to know. In summation, I like Chris.
Okay.
That's great.
Excellent. Adam, any last minute thoughts here?
No, everybody's looking at Chris, taking his lead for the strong start.
All right, perfect. Well, I guess we're ready to move on to Katie. Katie, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right, come in the center, girl. Come in the center. All right, when you're ready, Adam, take it away.
Okay. April 14th, 1912. The Titanic is fighting for her life in the North Atlantic. People are fighting to survive, but there's a bigger fight happening in the United States at the same time, and that's women's right for suffrage. They're fighting to get their rights. It's only available in a couple of territories at this point. And the state of Colorado, where Molly Brown, aka Margaret Tobin Brown, is from. So we're in the lifeboats the night of Titanic sinking. She is in lifeboat number 6 under the command of Robert Hitchens. They have a famous exchange where he tells her to sit down and shut up or he's going to kick her out of the lifeboat. She survives, gets the nickname the Unsinkable Molly Brown, goes home to Colorado and decides she's going to run for Senate. Now, this is where her battle really begins. Her opponent is the nephew of Robert Hitchens, the man she battled with in the lifeboat on Titanic. Robert Hitchens is a British sailor. His brother had moved over to the United States when he was younger, settled just outside of Colorado. So his brother's son, Ewing Hitchens, decides that he is going to run against Margaret Brown. And I'll tell you how it goes in the next segment.
Wow. All right. Titanic, always a good subject. Chris, what are your thoughts on Katie's story?
Yeah, it's interesting. Titanic is always a good subject, and Katie is an expert on Titanic facts. So it's hard to debunk her on something related to the Titanic. And I do know of the name Molly Brown. However, I do, not often, but I do occasionally play a little poker. And I noticed there was a hitch in Katie's delivery that was maybe a tell when she was talking about Robert Hitchens and the rest of his lineage and how they became the opponent of Molly Brown in the Senate race. So I'm getting a little skepticism right off the bat.
Right off the bat. All right. Matt, what do you think?
I didn't notice a hitch in her Hitchens, but Katie's enthusiastic as always. I will say I don't appreciate the Titanic as a subject because I don't know enough about it to appreciate anything about it. And I don't want to learn any more about it. So if you could just stop now, that'd be great.
The slander from the one man who didn't wear red, white, or blue for the Independence episode.
Way to go.
Yes, that because I knew someone would bring up the Titanic and how dare me support something I do not support.
He is wearing a Red Rocks shirt, and Titanic did hit an ice rock. So
that's just a stretch, Adrian.
Once again, no.
It hit a white ice block in the blue water, and he's wearing red.
Exactly.
Oh my
no,
God,
he's just saying that red rocks because my story is going to be the best.
Wow.
Everything connects. Everything connects. All right. Let's forget that I said that and move on to Matt.
All
Matt,
right.
Are you ready? Come in the
No,
center.
but let's do it anyway.
All right. Here it comes.
All right. Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about when Albert Einstein died and he lost his brain, it being independent of his body. So when Albert Einstein died, he said, I don't want anybody to study my brain. Apparently that was a thing back then. He died in 1955, April 18th, 55. He died. Apparently they like to do studies on people's brains to see if they could figure out why people are smart by studying brains. Spoiler alert, no, they can't really find anything out from dead brains. So anyway, so he's like, do not study my brain. I think it's a waste of time. It's dumb. Please don't do it. There was this pathologist named Thomas Harvey who was like, I think what he meant by that was I should take his brain and study it. So he took his brain after he died. So he took his brain, took it home and cut it up into 240 pieces and stored it in 2 mason jars in his house. I hope pathologists are not doing that on the regular, but who knows at this point. So he takes it home. Nobody knows he's got it, except for somehow.
What a cliffhanger!
Wow.
The graphic did not match. I thought I had more time.
That's what Einstein said.
You're so far behind in the story. You're never going to catch up.
No. Here we are.
We'll have to do a speed round in round 2. Chris, what are your thoughts on Matt's Einstein brain story?
Well, several things. Matt thought he had more time. That's what Einstein said.
It's all relative.
That's Chris's smartest joke and Katie's smartest joke. They did it. You're good. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
So Einstein, I don't want anybody studying my brain. That kind of sounds truthy. And Thomas Harvey then taking that and using that to say, oh, I think he wants me to study his brain. But why 240 pieces? I don't get the distinction of the number 240, so I'm looking for more on that. But very charming opening round from Matt. But like in poker, he smiled a couple of times during his story. It makes me wonder, is he trying to pull a fast one on us? So my guards are up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mine too. Just curiously, are there 240 things in the periodic table? Maybe he was trying to make a periodic table out of his brain.
It's a history show, not a science. I've already made an Adams joke, and I've already made an Einstein joke. I'm done.
You're right.
I do want to point out, Matt said that 240 pieces of brain fit in 2 mason jars. I may not be a science person, but the math is not adding up. For a man who has such a big brain to fit it in 2 mason jars, I'm skeptical.
That's a solid point. That's
good. Yep. Solid.
All right. Well, we heard from Chris, Katie, and Matt in round 1. I think we're ready to move on to round 2, Adam.
Okay, it's time to go to a fresh, brand new round. It's called round 2. Here we go. It's got that new round smell.
Here we go. In round 2, we're going to reduce 15 seconds from everybody's timer. So now you guys have 60 seconds each. Katie, we're going to start with you in this next round. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Perfect. Adam, whenever you're ready.
Okay, here comes the boom.
All right. Margaret Brown gets back to Denver. She decides she's going to run for Senate before women even have the right to vote nationally. She starts a platform as the womanly and housewife representative. Well, as she's already decided she's going to run, that's when Ewing Hitchens enters the scene. He is very upset about how his family member was painted poorly by Margaret Brown, to say the least, in this situation. So he decides this is his way to revive the Hitchens family honor. So he decides to run on a platform saying, this woman boxes, this woman plays poker, she is not a womanly representative. You do not want a man in a dress as your senator. So it gets really ugly in the political campaigns. They go to different salons and they finally have a debate in Denver where basically he makes that same accusation, says that she's a man in a dress. And she says to him, you'll have to wait until the next.
Oh boy. I don't know about you guys, but Margaret Brown, Molly Brown, she sounds like a great politician to me. Matt, what do you think?
I think I think I don't know, again, enough about this topic. I wish I did.
That was nothing about Titanic, Matt.
I know, I appreciated the second half not mentioning Titanic. Thank you. I think the idea that someone would or would not vote for someone, depending on what they wore, is an interesting idea. Dress or no dress. So I think that might be the way I pick my candidates from now on.
All right. Okay. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I do think that there's some validity to that point that Matt brings up, because I used to work with a woman who would pick in the weekly football pool. She would pick the team that was going to win based on her better experience in which city, and she actually won a couple times. So there's something to this. But I did
get a criteria.
You pick a criteria, you stick with it. Speaking of criteria, mine is consistency of factual statements. And Katie had a club in her story, and I'm not going to reveal it yet. I'm going to see if she corrects it in the third round, and that'll help me figure out if I think she's bluffing.
Wow.
All right. Perfect.
Chris out.
By the way,
blood.
bluff and flub almost same backwards and front. They're not, but it's close.
Oh, that's a word for that. What do they call palindrome?
Palindrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, we're always
Very
learning on
nice.
History Bluffs.
Exactly. It's the most
that?
educational show
On
ever.
YouTube and Twitch.
On the YouTube.
Period.
And
Yeah.
Take that,
YouTube
Bill
cemetery.
Nye.
All right, we're one down in round 2. 2 to go.
Absolutely. Matt, are you ready to head up?
Nope, but let's do
Okay,
it.
great. Let's go.
Here he goes.
Okay, so where did I leave off? Oh, okay. So he took the brain home, cut it into 240 pieces. Oh, okay. So nobody found out except for, yes, someone found out. So Einstein's son, Hans, was like, you have my dad's brain. And he's like, yes, but let me study it. And for some reason, Hans was like, all right, you can have it. So he kept the brain for 40 years. The guy, unfortunately for stealing Einstein's brain, he lost his wife, he lost his job. He had to move to the Midwest. Apparently that's a punishment. Anyway, he moved to the Midwest, never had like a job as a pathologist again. He had a bunch of other kind of random in the medical field jobs. And during that time, if people were like interested in the brain or found out he had it, he would just give them a piece of Einstein's brain. So parts of the brain you might have one. You don't even know. Anyway, so no one found out about it until 1978. This newspaper guy from Wichita tracks him down in Wichita. And that's all I'm saying for now.
Okay.
That's a place to leave off. Wow.
Yeah. Saucy. Chris, what are your thoughts on that story?
Oh man, wow, just wow. And also another cliffhanger from Matt. Is he going to tell us which Atah he's talking about? We're not sure. Could be one Atah or the other.
Oh my God.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Adam, where were you with the sad trumpet?
Yeah, it's sad.
I was a little slow on the draw. I felt like I missed the chance, but you know what? Chris will give me another opportunity this year.
I have a feeling
it was so bad he didn't realize it was an attempt at a pun.
My brain split into 240 pieces trying to keep track of that. Hey.
The biggest thing for me is that brains don't last 40 years once they're taken out of the human body. They're part of the body. They decay like the rest of the human body. So major flag up for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we got flags.
Yeah. Unless there's a jerky machine.
I don't know, Chris.
Oof.
It wasn't a mason jar. And as someone who has bought a lot of things in mason jars from farmers markets, they last an obscene amount of time. That's the whole point of mason jars. That said,
True.
I found it very upsetting, Matt, the phrase that you might have a piece of Einstein's brain and not know. How dare you? How dare you give me something else to worry about?
It's definitely possible. There's a lot of things in my fridge that I have no idea what they are, where they came from. Very questionable in there.
Well, kids don't like that. Oh, man.
Adam, okay, so we have 2 done in round 2. I believe Chris is our last round 2er. Are you ready, sir?
I am. I'm the last round 2er.
Adam, whenever you're ready.
All right, here we go.
Excuse me. So I left off in round 1 with the Civil War battles. There were 2 important battles that happened in independence. The first one in August of 1862, when Confederate soldiers took control of the town, and the second one in October of 1864, 2 years and a month later, when the Union Army won. Okay, both battles were hard fought. A lot of destruction happened. As a result, Independence, which has had at that point been the county seat and in a thriving city, it took a toll on the town, and it kind of became relegated to second tier level, and that coincided after the war with the rise of Kansas City. So Kansas City all of a sudden towered over Independence, and Independence started to go downhill. Harry S. Truman became president in the 1940s. And he was born there, and he comes in and saves the day.
Okay, we got Independence and Harry S. Truman. Katie, what are your thoughts on Chris's round 2?
His facts are not lining up for me, Adri. They're not. Kansas City towered over Independence. They're both real flat. I've been to Kansas City. It does not tower over anything. It went downhill. It's still flat. There aren't hills there, Chris.
Were you in Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri? Big difference.
I've been to both. And I have a video of me walking across the street getting really excited I'm going to a different state. So for someone who's been here, you can't trust Chris about this topic.
Okay. All right. Strong words.
Indeed.
Strong words from Katie. Matt, what are your thoughts right now?
We finally, in round 2, we finally get to Chris saying something interesting about his topic, Harry Truman. So I appreciate that, finally getting to the meat of his subject. I think he's waffling a lot. I think he's waffling across the street, Katie.
You're right there.
Without direction. I think his hair isn't the only thing that's slick with his story.
Oh, that gets it off. Come on.
That's getting personal.
More strong words.
It's
More
true.
strong words. All right. Well, that wraps up our round 2, according to the round tracker, 9,000.
And it never lies.
And it never lies. You're right about that. So with that, I think we're ready to move on to round 3.
Let's get into the final round of the show, round 3. How do you like this? Round 3. Feels
love
good.
it.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
I love round 3. You know why, Adam?
Why?
Because these historians have to wrap up their story with 15 less seconds.
Whoa.
That's right. You guys know how to
fast round.
Fewer.
40.
I'm also a grammarian in addition to a historian, so I just
Fewer? Oh, wow. We got the
Did I say 15 seconds lesser? Or I don't even know. My soul left my body when Chris mentioned Harry S. Truman, and I haven't been back yet. So,
yeah,
okay.
That's true.
45 seconds left on the clock.
There we
For
go.
Truman
this
dropped
round-
a bomb on her heart.
Oh,
Go ahead, what?
geez. Oh my God.
There it is.
They're taking their death by 1,000 paper cuts here, Adrian. You got it.
Absolutely. Matt, are you ready
Yes.
to tell us more about Einstein's brain? You have
You know the
45
answer.
seconds. Get in the center. Let's go.
All right.
Here we go.
Okay. All right. Here we go. They did, to Chris's point earlier, he did put it in, I can't remember the name of the solution that pathologists put stuff when they're preserving it. Not formaldehyde. It's something different. It starts with a C. I can't remember, and it's too late for me to look back at my
It's only a
notes.
45-second round.
I know. Stop talking to me. I only have 45 seconds. Adam, you ruined my whole. Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
So he has the brain for 40 years. This guy, this newspaper guy, this newspaper guy. What am I in a 1930s movie? Finds him, learns about all these scientists are like, let's study the brain. Let's study the brain. He's like, sure. They're like, yeah, just kidding. You can't learn anything with this brain. Anyway, moral of the story is one of Einstein's granddaughters says, bring me the rest of the brain. So him and his grandson drive it over there in 1989.
Okay. All right. 1989. One of Taylor Swift's best albums. Chris.
For sure.
Would you like to comment on Matt's last round?
Yes, I think Matt and I have different definitions of moral of the story.
Once I was talking mushrooms. I'm morale of the story.
The moral of the story was he had to wrap up his bluff before the buzzer went off.
It's true.
That's the game of the show.
It is the game of the show. Man, I'm telling you what. I even if you could have remembered the fake name that you're trying to come up with that started with a C, like formaldehyde equivalent, I am really, really skeptical of a brain lasting 40 years to be studied outside of human body. I think it would decay by then. So I got to wait to hear some more information on the Titanic when before I make my final decision.
All right. Katie, what are your thoughts on Matt's
Listen,
story?
I was really sure that Chris was the bluff until this last part of the story.
Uh-oh.
Well, just the time wasting, the meandering of the story. I don't really understand what it had to do with independence other than the fact that his brain was independent from his body. I am left with more questions than answers about Einstein. and this E equals MC is not squared.
Solid. Very solid. All right. Well, the historians have spoken. It's time to move on to our next historian, which I believe would be Chris.
Yes.
Are you ready, Chris? 45 seconds on the clock. Whenever you're ready, Adam.
Here we go.
So, Harry Truman, before he became president, he grew up in Independence, as I mentioned, and his wife, Bess, grew up there as well. He was elected a judge of the county court in Jackson County. And as a result, and he had an on and off career of, he won some elections, lost some local elections. But when he became president, and he knew the history of all those trails, the Oregon Trail, the California Trail, and the Santa Fe Trail, all originating in Independence, he decided to really kind of revamp the town, and he created the National Frontier Trails Museum. And it's dedicated to the history of the westward expansion. It talks about settlement of the American West, talks about the Civil War battles and all the soldiers that went in and out, and that all revitalized the town.
All right. Matt, you look amused.
So, Chris, are you trying to bluff us that they built a museum? That's your bluff? They built a museum? Yeah. I believe they built a museum. I don't know what your big, like, the end of your story was. They built a museum and it revitalized the town.
It's
Great.
stranger than fiction.
It's kind of like a reporter doing a story in 1989.
Economic boom.
Oh, Katie, what's on your mind?
I kind of think his bluff strategy is to bore us. Like the main story is the rivalry between Independence, Missouri, and Kansas City. And like, I don't even care about Kansas City sports teams. Like, I'm not here for this battle.
About that rivalry, Katie, haven't you? So many books about Kansas City versus Independence. Oh man, it's
such a battle. But Independence got that museum, so they won. I guess
there's no way they have a museum, Katie. There's no way. That's gotta be bluff. No one could believe that.
Listen, strong words.
Truth is stranger than fiction on History Bluffs. Look out, everyone! It's a museum. Careful.
Strong words from the man who said one brain fits in two mason jars. So.
Very strong words. Very strong words.
She has a point.
All right, we've reached the point where our last historian is going to give us her last 45 seconds of the story. Katie, please hop in the center, and Adam, whenever you're ready.
All right, here we go.
When we last left this Senate debate, Margaret Brown had just been told that she was a man in a dress, and she called Ewing Hitchens a lily-livered wannabe pork barreler. There were audible gasps in the salon. That was not something that was done. Women just didn't insult men in public. But women could vote in Colorado, and she won the majority of their votes after that for saying what other people wanted to be said. Also, there was still just a lot of bad publicity for the Hitchens family after the Titanic incident. Margaret Brown ends up winning that Senate seat. She then hangs out with President Woodrow Wilson, who will eventually ratify winning suffrage.
Excellent story. Matt, are you triggered that the word Titanic was mentioned again, or are you doing okay?
No, I've gotten past that trauma. But what bothers me is that it wrapped up pretty nicely just before the buzzer.
It's almost like some of us planned these out.
What'd you say? Oh, you planned. Shut up.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
You're telling us that there were insults in politics? What?
It's almost unbelievable as a museum in Independence.
I'm sorry, Chris, I have to interrupt. You said salon, or did you mean saloon?
Insults in politics.
Salon? Okay.
Salon. Yeah, not like a hair salon, but salons were when like people got together to exchange ideas.
So like a salon.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. Oh, that's why they're called that in the hotel convention centers. Salon
Katie,
one.
that might be the most
3.
interesting thing that happens this show. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Oh wow.
Very educational programming here. We're
Very.
learning so much.
That's our shtick.
That is our shtick.
So I come back to, and it's interesting. I don't think Katie actually said the name. I think she just said she, because she called her Molly Brown, the unsinkable Molly Brown, as we all know. But then in the second round, she accidentally called her Margaret Brown.
I did not. If you listen to the beginning of my first one instead of reading your notes, you would have heard me say Molly Brown, aka Margaret Tobin Brown, because Molly Brown was a nickname and how we know her. However, her legal name was Margaret Brown.
All right.
Why wouldn't she be called Maggie, like Rod Stewart would have called her?
She was called Maggie. She wasn't called Molly until years after her death, but that's a story for another day.
Wow.
Oh, sure it is. Okay. I heard enough.
Stay tuned for the Margaret Brown episode of History Bluffs.
Yes. I'm pushing
Margaret Brown, History Bluffs. Starting. Okay, sorry. That's enough of it.
So before we get
will she get in the salon? Sorry, go ahead.
Before we get to the big reveal, I would love to hear what each of you are feeling as far as who is bluffing. All right. Katie, let's start with you because I feel like you are on fire tonight.
Okay. Is it because I'm wearing red?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I still don't believe that that a brain can fit in 2 mason jars. I just don't. But also, Chris came out real early with the attack on us. And I feel like between that and his rambling story about Kansas City and independence, I just feel like it's completely made up. So I'm going to say that Chris is the bluff.
Okay, we got 1 vote for Chris. Chris, where are you at with everything?
Well, I still skeptical of, like I said earlier, it's hard to debunk Titanic-related stories from Katie because she is a Titanic expert. And we all know about the unsinkable Molly Brown, a.k.a. Margaret, apparently. But
take that, Margaret.
Yes. I come back to the beginning of the 3rd round that Matt just had this big sigh, as in I took to read, man, how am I going to finish this bluff that I'm creating? And he was just so damn charming the entire time about telling his story. So I just simply don't believe that a brain lasts 40 years. So I'm going to say I think Matt's the bluff.
Okay, so we got 1 vote for Chris, 1 vote for Matt. Matt, what do you think?
I think Chris is the bluff. Yeah, it just seems obvious.
Okay.
Seems obvious.
So we got
Straight
1 vote for Matt, 2 votes for Chris. I don't know who's bluffing. Only Adam does. So at this point, Adam, do what you do.
All right, that's it. It's time to reveal. I'm going to ask you, Adri, our host, to step off of the virtual stage. And now the Bluffs, potential bluffers, are lined up in front of me, and I will. Here we go. Was it Chris? Could it have been Katie? Or could it have been Matt? Get ready for the big reveal. For this show, the bluff the entire time, it was Katie.
Got you.
Man, she had so many boring facts.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Some of those were real. Margaret Brown was really Molly Brown.
Chris's just was more boring. Oh.
So
Great
what was
job,
real
Katie.
was Molly Brown, aka Margaret Brown, did survive the Titanic. She was in the lifeboat with Robert Hitchens. He didn't have a brother. I thought you called me out on the fact that I said she ran against his brother, and then I changed it to her brother's son, like 1 sentence later. I thought you picked up on that.
Oh, man. Oh, that's good.
There was no Ewing Hitchens. There was no battle. No one said she was a man in a dress. She didn't personally know Woodrow Wilson that record has, so.
You know who did? Harry Truman, former judge in Independence, Missouri.
Oh, man. He would.
We were trying to convince us of.
Adri, come on back into the show. There we go.
Oh, good job,
That was
Katie.
a lot of fun, guys. Good job. Everybody at home, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody watching us later, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you had fun. We'll be back next week. Please follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, in the encyclopedias.
That's right.
Wherever you can find us, just follow us.
All right. That's right. You heard her. Stay tuned. Get us also where you get your podcasts. We'll be there. Come and learn with us. See you next time.